Do you remember the exact moment when you realized that silence was your greatest weapon? Capricorn. While they were busy celebrating what they thought was your downfall, the universe was quietly rewriting the ending to your story. And now they're watching in disbelief as everything they tried to use against you has become the very foundation of your rise. Welcome back, Divine Capricorn. If you're here right now, it's no coincidence. Your spirit already knows what I'm about to confirm. The tables have turned. Not by force, not by revenge, but by the ancient law that governs all of existence. What you send out into the world will find its way back to you, multiplied. Someone tried to dim your light. They whispered about you in rooms you weren't in. They smiled to your face while planting seeds of doubt behind your back. They took what you built and tried to claim it as their own. They underestimated the quiet power you carry, mistaking your patience for weakness, your silence for surrender. They thought they were clever. They thought they had won. They looked at your quietness and assumed you were defeated. They saw you step back and thought you were running away. But what they couldn't see was the work you were doing in the invisible realm. What they couldn't understand was that you weren't retreating, you were preparing. You weren't broken. You were being rebuilt, stronger than before. See, there's something about Capricorn energy that others often misread. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to explain yourself to be right. You don't need witnesses to validate your truth. You move with a different kind of strength, the kind that's rooted deep in the earth, unshakable, timeless, eternal. But here's what they didn't understand. You are the mountain. And mountains don't crumble because of wind. They stand through storms. They remain when everything else has fallen. They watch seasons change from a place of absolute stillness and absolute power. Right now, in this very moment, something is shifting in your reality. The people who tried to hold you down are feeling the weight of their own actions. The ones who tried to take what was yours are discovering that stolen goods never bring true satisfaction. The ones who spoke against you are finding that their own words are coming back to haunt them. This isn't about revenge, Capricorn. This is about balance. This is about the natural order of things being restored. This is about the universe course-correcting on your behalf, without you having to lift a single finger. In this video, I'm going to take you through the spiritual truth of what's happening right now in your life. We're going to explore the divine justice unfolding, the lessons being delivered, and why you, yes, you, are stepping into a chapter of your life that will leave everyone speechless. We're going to talk about how their schemes backfired, how your silence became your shield, and how everything you've been through was preparing you for this exact moment. Before we dive deep, do me a favor. Type "tables turned" in the comments right now. Let the universe know you're ready to witness this shift. Claim this moment. Declare that you're stepping into your power. Let your energy join with thousands of other Capricorns who are experiencing this same awakening. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications, because this channel is your spiritual home, where we speak directly to the soul of the Capricorn, where we honor your journey, where we understand the depth of what you carry and the strength it takes to carry it with grace. Let's start with the truth you've been carrying in silence. You saw it. You saw everything. The subtle shifts in energy when you walked into the room, the way their tone changed, the convenient forgetfulness, the way they suddenly became unavailable when you needed them most, the way they took credit for your ideas, your work, your kindness. You remember the moment, don't you? That specific conversation where something felt off. That meeting where your contribution was minimized or completely ignored. That time when your name was somehow left out of the success story, even though your hands built the entire foundation. You remember the text messages that went unanswered, the calls that were never returned, the sudden distance from someone who used to be close. And here's what made it even more painful. They thought you were blind to it. They believed their smiles were convincing. They assumed their excuses were believable. They thought that because you didn't call them out immediately, you didn't notice. But that's where they made their first mistake. You're Capricorn. You observe, you calculate, you remember. You didn't miss a single detail. Your mind was recording everything, every inconsistency, every lie, every moment their actions didn't match their words. You were reading the room while they thought they were playing you. You were seeing the pattern while they thought they were being subtle. You noticed when they stopped asking about your projects, but suddenly had similar ideas of their own. You noticed when they started taking a different tone with you in front of certain people. You noticed when opportunities you mentioned in private conversations somehow became theirs in public spaces. You noticed when your vulnerability was used as ammunition. You noticed when your trust was treated as foolishness. But instead of reacting, instead of creating drama, instead of defending yourself in ways that would drain your energy, you did something they never expected. You stepped back, you went quiet, you continued building. And this is where your true power revealed itself. Because most people, when they're betrayed, they explode. They confront, they seek immediate justice. They need everyone to know what happened. They need validation. They need the other person to admit they're wrong. They need an apology. They need closure. But you understood something deeper. You understood that sometimes the best response is no response at all. You understood that your energy is precious and not everyone deserves access to it. You understood that explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you is a waste of time. So you went silent, not because you were weak, not because you were afraid, not because you didn't have words, but because you knew that silence is a power move that most people aren't strong enough to pull off. And that silence, it terrified them. Because loud people expect loud reactions. Manipulators expect confrontation. People who wrong you are often prepared for your anger. They've already crafted their defense, their justification, their counterattack. But you gave them nothing. No fuel, no reaction, no satisfaction. Your silence created a void that they couldn't fill. It forced them to sit with their own actions. It took away their ability to paint you as the aggressor, the emotional one, the unreasonable one. Without your reaction, they had to face the mirror. And that mirror was showing them something they didn't want to see. Here's the spiritual truth. They were testing you, yes, but the universe was testing them. Every lie they told, every scheme they crafted, every moment they chose to harm you, it was being recorded in the cosmic ledger. Not by you, by something far greater. Think about it like this. Imagine there's an invisible record keeper, documenting every action, every intention, every moment of choice. When they chose to betray you, when they chose dishonesty over truth, when they chose their advancement over your dignity, all of it was written down. Not for punishment, but for balance. Because the universe doesn't operate on human emotions. It operates on energy. And the energy they sent out has to complete its circle. You didn't need to fight back because you understood something profound. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let people reveal themselves. And they did. Oh, they absolutely did. Because here's what happens when you don't react. People keep talking, they keep moving, they keep showing you who they are. Without your interference, without your defense, without your energy in the mix, the truth has room to breathe. And truth, Capricorn, always finds a way to surface. While you were in your quiet season, building in private, healing in silence, strengthening your foundation, they were busy. But they weren't building. They were performing. They were managing their image. They were maintaining their lies. And lies, no matter how well crafted, require constant energy to sustain. They were digging their own graves with every dishonest word, every stolen opportunity, every moment they tried to rise by pushing you down. Because you can't build a legacy on borrowed success. You can't create lasting respect through manipulation. You can't sustain relationships through deception. Every time they spoke your name without honor, they were creating a debt. Every time they took credit for your work, they were borrowing against a future they couldn't afford. Every time they smiled in your face while plotting behind your back, they were setting a trap that would eventually spring on them. And you were elsewhere. You were healing, you were learning, you were becoming stronger in ways they couldn't see and wouldn't understand. You felt the sting. I'm not going to pretend you didn't. There were nights when you questioned yourself, when you wondered if staying silent made you weak, when you felt the weight of being misunderstood. There were moments when you wanted to scream your truth from the rooftops, moments when you wanted to gather everyone and show them the receipts, the proof, the evidence of what really happened. There were days when the loneliness felt unbearable, when you looked around and saw them thriving, or so it seemed, while you were in the valley. When you wondered if doing the right thing even mattered. When you questioned if your integrity was just making you an easy target. But you stayed the course. You trusted the process. You trusted yourself. And most importantly, you trusted that the universe sees everything, even what happens in the dark. And now everything is coming to light. Not because you forced it, not because you manipulated circumstances, not because you spent your energy trying to expose them, but because light always finds the cracks. Truth always rises, and the tables always turn. There's an ancient principle that governs this universe, and it operates with precision that surpasses human understanding. Balance must always be restored. Think of it like this. Imagine a scale. On one side, their actions, the lies, the theft, the betrayal, the mockery. On the other side, your truth, your integrity, your silent strength, your continued faith. For a while, it looked like their side was heavier. It looked like they were winning. But the universe doesn't operate on human timelines. It operates on divine timing. Every action creates an energetic ripple. When someone acts from a place of deception, when they harm others to elevate themselves, when they break trust and manipulate situations, they're not just affecting you. They're creating a debt in the spiritual realm. And that debt always comes due. You didn't need to curse them. You didn't need to wish them harm. You didn't need to plot revenge or spend your precious energy trying to expose them. The universe has a built-in justice system that is far more thorough, far more precise, and far more powerful than anything you could orchestrate. Here's what's been happening behind the scenes while you were focused on your own healing and growth. Their foundation has been crumbling. The shortcuts they took, they're catching up with them. The relationships they built on lies, they're falling apart. The success they stole, it's turning bitter in their hands. And the most interesting part? They're starting to realize it. They're feeling the weight of their own actions. They're experiencing the natural consequences of living out of alignment with truth. This isn't about vengeance, Capricorn. This is about universal law. This is about the fact that you cannot build anything lasting on a foundation of deception. You cannot sustain success through theft. You cannot maintain relationships through manipulation. What they did to you didn't just backfire. It created a boomerang effect that is now returning to them with the exact energy they sent out. Amplified, multiplied, unavoidable. And you? You're watching it unfold not with bitterness, but with a deep, quiet knowing. You always knew this moment would come. In a world that celebrates reaction, where everyone is expected to defend themselves publicly, where social media has turned personal conflicts into performance art, you chose differently. You chose silence. And that choice has positioned you in a place of unshakable power. Here's why your silence was so effective. It forced them to confront themselves. When you didn't react, when you didn't engage, when you didn't try to convince others of your truth, you took away their ability to control the narrative. They expected you to fight back. They were prepared for your defense. They had already crafted their counter-arguments, their justifications, their victim stories, but you gave them nothing. And in that nothing, everything was revealed. Without your reaction, they had to sit with their own actions. Without your defense, other people had to form their own opinions based on evidence, not emotion. Without your involvement in the drama, the focus shifted from a he said, she said situation to a simple observation. Who is actually producing results? Who is actually showing up with integrity? Who is actually building something real? Your silence wasn't avoidance. It wasn't weakness, it was strategy, it was spiritual maturity. It was you understanding that some battles are won by refusing to fight them. Think about water. Water doesn't fight the rock. Water doesn't argue with the obstacle. Water simply flows around it, over it, through it, and eventually water reshapes the entire landscape. That's been you, Capricorn. You've been like water, patient, persistent, powerful in your quietness. And now, the landscape has changed. The people who once doubted you are seeing your results. The ones who spoke against you are watching you rise. The ones who tried to block your path are realizing you simply found another way, a better way. Your silence wasn't empty, it was full. Full of focus, full of intention, full of trust in something greater than temporary validation. And now, that silence is speaking volumes. Here's something profound that's happening right now. They're experiencing exactly what they tried to make you feel. The isolation they wanted for you, it's surrounding them. The doubt they planted about your abilities, it's now consuming their own confidence. The opportunities they blocked from you, they're watching similar doors close in their own lives. The reputation they tried to damage, theirs is being questioned. This is what I call the mirror effect. The universe has a way of showing people their own reflection through their lived experience. Not as punishment, but as education. Not as revenge, but as awakening. They made you feel small. Now they're feeling diminished. They made you feel invisible. Now they're being overlooked. They made you question your worth. Now they're struggling with their own value. They celebrated when they thought you were down. Now they're the ones searching for solid ground. This is not coincidence. This is cosmic design. The universe is the ultimate teacher, and the lesson it delivers is always the same. You will experience what you create. You will feel what you make others feel. You will reap what you sow. And for you, Capricorn, you sowed patience. You sowed integrity. You sowed hard work even when no one was watching. You sowed kindness even when you were hurting. You sowed faith even when you felt forgotten. So what are you reaping? Unexpected opportunities. Doors you didn't even know existed. Recognition from places that actually matter. Respect that's genuine. Success that's sustainable. Peace that's profound. You're not just winning, you're winning in a way that's aligned with who you truly are. And that's the kind of victory that lasts. Meanwhile, they're learning the hard way that shortcuts lead to dead ends. That building on lies creates unstable foundations. That what looks like success without integrity is just a mirage that eventually disappears. The tables haven't just turned. They've been completely reconstructed, and you're sitting at the head of a new table, one built by your own hands, with your own truth, in your own time. But let's pause for a moment and honor something important: the journey you took to get here. Because this victory, this turning of tables, this divine justice, it didn't come without cost. You walked through some dark valleys to reach this mountain peak. And I want to acknowledge that. There were moments when you felt completely alone. When you questioned if doing the right thing even mattered. When you wondered if your integrity was just making you a target. When you felt exhausted from carrying the weight of other people's misconceptions about you. There were nights when you cried in silence. Days when you had to force yourself to keep going. Moments when you wanted to give up. When you wanted to become bitter. When you wanted to lower yourself to their level just to feel like you had some control. But you didn't. You held on. You held yourself together. You held your standards high. And in that darkness, something remarkable happened. You didn't just survive. You transformed. That pressure didn't break you. It refined you. Those challenges didn't weaken you. They revealed strength you didn't know you possessed. You learned to validate yourself instead of seeking validation from others. You learned to trust your own judgment instead of being swayed by popular opinion. You learned to find peace in solitude instead of being desperate for acceptance. You learned to build in silence instead of performing for applause. You became someone who doesn't need to prove anything because you know who you are. You became someone who doesn't fear being alone because you've learned to be your own best company. You became someone who can't be easily shaken because your foundation is built on something deeper than circumstances. This is the gift hidden in the betrayal. This is the treasure buried in the pain. This is the power forged in the fire. You are not the same person who entered that difficult season. You've been upgraded, elevated, evolved, and that evolution is permanent. No one can take it from you. No circumstance can reverse it. So yes, the tables have turned in the external world. But the real turning happened internally. You turned your pain into power, your wounds into wisdom, your setbacks into setups. And that internal transformation is what makes this external victory so sweet and so secure. Now, let's talk about what's unfolding right in front of you. There's a chapter opening that is exclusively yours. Not shared, not stolen, not replicated. Yours. You're entering a season where the right doors open effortlessly, where the right people recognize your value immediately, where opportunities align with your purpose in ways that feel almost magical, where your work speaks for itself so loudly that you don't need to market yourself desperately. This is what happens when you've been refined by fire and proven by pressure. This is what happens when you've maintained your integrity in the dark. This is what happens when you've trusted the process, even when the process felt cruel. The universe has been preparing you, positioning you, and protecting you. Yes, protecting you. Because some of those doors that closed, they were protecting you from paths that would have derailed your destiny. Some of those people who left, they were being removed because they didn't have the capacity to walk with you where you're going. Everything that happened wasn't just happening to you, it was happening for you. And now, you're about to understand why. You're about to see the full picture. You're about to receive the rewards of your resilience. But here's the important part. Don't shrink now. Don't dim your light because others are uncomfortable with your brightness. Don't play small to make people feel comfortable. Don't apologize for your success. You earned this. Through every sleepless night, through every unfair situation, through every moment you chose dignity over drama, through every time you showed up even when you were breaking down inside. This is your time. Own it. Embrace it. Walk in it with your head held high. And as you step into this new chapter, remember, you're not becoming someone new. You're becoming more fully yourself. You're stepping into the version of you that was always there, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The tables have turned, and you're exactly where you're meant to be. Capricorn, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment after this video ends and feel this truth in your body. You made it. You survived what was designed to break you. You rose when they expected you to fall. You kept building when they thought you were broken. The tables have turned, not because you fought for it, but because you continued being who you are. Because you refused to compromise your integrity. Because you trusted that truth always rises, even when it takes time. What they did to you didn't just backfire, it became the catalyst for your greatest transformation. Their betrayal revealed their character. Your response revealed yours. And now the whole world is seeing the difference. Walk forward with confidence. Walk forward with grace. Walk forward knowing that you are protected, you are guided, and you are exactly where you need to be. If this message resonated with your spirit, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. This is your community. This is where we speak truth directly to the Capricorn soul. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a message meant specifically for you. And remember, don't forget to type "tables turned" in the comments. Let's create a wave of collective energy. Let's declare together that this is your season. Keep climbing, Mountain Goat. The view from the top is spectacular, and it's all yours. Until next time, stay aligned, stay powerful, and stay true to who you are. The universe is on your side.